Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Gray, and we're just plain living here.
Good morning, John. I'm Peggy Burton.
And I'm Jim Fuller.
Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Good to see you guys.
How is everybody?
I'm alive.
How live? The Super Bowl weekend is
Yes.
football is gone
Yeah.
until next fall.
Well, I, as you know, I watched it. I never know what's going on, and it was in Spanish. That made it a little harder. But I thought
I think you had a malfunction in the way you adjusted your television, perhaps.
I did, and I was tired. I didn't want to deal with it.
Didn't care.
So no Espanol, no speak Espanol. But anyway, it was a good game up until I got to where I thought San Francisco had it made. And,
Yeah, had you been
okay.
a little bit more versed in how this season has went, you would have known that Kansas City was the threat to come back at any time.
Yeah.
And I think they came back from 10-point deficits their last 3 games, did they not? So you always have to suspect that was.
That they're going to come
But
back.
what
Yeah.
you have to look at, you folks out there, like you two and me and all Tennesseans, is Kansas City went on a 9-game winning streak, and the last team to beat them was the Titans.
Right.
Which was
Which was pretty
totally
darn
amazing.
good.
And the
Yeah.
Titans played them obviously before the Super Bowl,
Right.
And
Got
we're
beat.
up by 10
got
twice,
beat, yeah.
and ended up getting beat. So
But
their quarterback
Titans-
is phenomenal,
the
has
Titans
no
are
fear.
doing well. Yeah, no fear at all.
Yeah.
Man. And good for Andy Reid, one of
Yeah.
the great coaches in the NFL who had never won a Super Bowl.
Oh, and so
And they showed his coaching tree, which that sort of has become a buzzword, because when you have great coaches, you take the coaches who have worked under them and then see where they go and what their future is and how they work in the system. And his coaching tree, on all the limbs, he has coaches that have been under him who are now head coaches and successful.
right.
And so he's a great coach. He's a great mentor, but he never won a Super Bowl, and now he has.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
He was.
That's
That
exciting.
might be a good note to
I bet he's
retire
still
on.
partying.
He said he's liable to stay up one more night. That's what I heard.
Yeah, right.
Somebody
right.
said, "What do you think about holding up that trophy?" And he said, "I'm holding up my trophy wife right now." And she is pretty good looking.
Yes, she
Yeah.
is. Yes, she is.
So,
So
So we'll
what
get-
did y'all think about the halftime show? I've seen a lot of controversy on Facebook.
to me, it's show business, you know.
Yeah.
And I would hate if you're offended, but you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, well, that's what I
You
said.
know,
You can turn it
And
off.
I can sort of see how some people would be offended by that, but
What energy?
Wow.
yeah,
What
amazing.
energy they have.
I mean, well, they
But,
don't look any different than all those cheerleaders that are on the sidelines and the majorettes
Right.
that play with the bands and all that
Right.
stuff. They get out there and bump and grind and hump and crawl and do all that stuff. The issue is who is all of that for? It's show business.
Oh, of course, and
It's a
that's what
show
yeah,
that
yeah.
is put on to entertain middle ground. It's not for babies and it's not for old folks. It's for the that middle section.
Right.
Can
And
you
Jim says they can turn it
imagine?
off. They
Yeah,
don't
of
like it.
course.
Yeah.
Can
And
you
you know,
imagine?
the show business phrase I just used and
Yeah.
John just used is quite, really rings a note with me, because I used to use that phrase a lot when John and I were doing
yeah.
karaoke shows late at
It's
night,
like, yeah, the
and my
showbiz.
wife would say, "You're getting a little bit out of hand up there." I'm not sure I like that, and I'd say,
Show business.
"Nance, it's just show business. That's
Yeah.
all, you know."
Yeah, one more show.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, can you, if nothing else, all of you people who are CrossFit and half fit and no fit and working out and yoga, look at a 50-odd-year-old woman and what they did in 20 to 25
I know, that's
minutes.
pretty amazing.
Try it and see how long you last.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Oh, yeah.
The energy
lots
that
of
it takes to
energy.
do that.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah, and you got to be in pretty good shape to do that. You can't.
Pretty good.
You
Gotta
know,
be in
you-
top
yeah.
shape.
Did you see her crawl up that pole and with her thighs hold herself straight
I know.
parallel
She's
to the
amazing.
ground?
She's
Yeah.
amazing.
Try that over there, big boy. Big boy, eating your 25th wing in your recliner chair, complaining about that. Get up and try. Go outside, grab you a telephone pole, and see if you can do that. Then go back inside when you pick yourself up and eat your 30th wing.
And John is really getting off on this. And I want to tell you folks that I don't know. We try to reel him in, but the older he gets, the more
The worse
prone
it
he
is.
is to tell it like he sees it.
Well,
So,
but no, I heard, and the reason I said that is I heard or saw where somebody did that exact thing. Bubba, whoever was in his recliner, and he texted in after that show how pitiful it was, and was all controversial and bad down and everything as he was eating his 30th chicken wing.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, so Mr. Chicken Wing, you go out there and try to do that. Not for 20 minutes, but you try to do it for 2 minutes.
I know. I think they're
Incredible.
in great shape. Exactly. And you don't get that way just by walking on stage.
Well, and the young
Hours and
lady, what was her
hours.
name? Shakira?
Shakira.
That is probably one of the most physically dominating looking women I've seen, and I don't know when. She was not only in shape, but she was a big, strong woman,
They're both of them.
and I wouldn't take that. Why? She'd whoop a man in a minute. You better get in there and do those dishes, boy.
Oh well, it was really a good, entertaining game.
Well, if you watched all the young people and how they reacted to that, and the fans in the stands, they were going crazy over it. That's what it's all about.
No,
Show business.
maybe, yeah. Show business.
And
is
A-Rod,
what
how
it is.
lucky is he?
yeah,
Huh?
he's been lucky all his life.
He has been,
Yeah.
but to be married to her,
Some of it had to do. Well, it wasn't luck. There was some
Had to do
skill.
with baseball?
Yeah, there was some
He did
skill
have a
involved
life
in
in
it.
baseball
Yeah,
before.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And you were talking about the Titans a moment ago, and what a finish the last half of the year once they got Tannehill, and the only challenge for them, I guess, at this stage of the game, and you and I were talking about this last night, but is having to re-sign. They got like 9 or 10 guys off that team.
Yeah.
Their contract's up, and they got to re-sign them. And
You think they will? Will they be able
they
to?
will try to, but they probably can't afford to re-sign
That's
them
what I
all.
was
You know,
thinking,
and
because
they're going to
they
re-sign
may
Derrick
not be
Henry,
that much
I'm sure,
money.
and probably Tannehill. But
Well, and the thing about it is, you've got Tannehill, and it just goes to show you, he was a jerk and a bum down in Florida, as far as everybody was concerned, and it just shows you how you can be talented and be with the wrong group of people or in the wrong system. That's like having an incredible jazz singer and throwing them on a country stage
Right.
and wondering why in the world they're not doing any good. Well, that's not where they
it.
belong.
That's not where they belong.
Yeah.
You're right. That's
And
really
they moved
important.
Tannehill over into the system that the Titans had. He won comeback quarterback of the year.
right.
Superstar.
Right.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And when you look at what these guys get paid, Tannehill, I think, had a contract for $1 million. You think that's a lot of money, but
next man.
for the quarterback on an NFL team, that's not a lot of money. $1 million
Heavens
a year.
no, that's almost base salary,
Yeah,
isn't it?
base salary in the NFL, I think, is $480,000 a year, something like that. Pat Welch is in the audience. He probably knows that, but it's somewhere just under $500,000 a year, I think, is the minimum. But
Hey, Pat, how good could a person live in Tullahoma on $480 million a year? Or
Thousand.
$5 million a year, or $400,000 a year? Pretty good. Live well in Tullahoma,
think so,
Tennessee,
yeah.
on $400,000 a
I
year.
think I could.
That won't even pay the jet fuel to get you out of town, will it?
Oh. That's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's hey, musically, what's going on? You're being at South Jackson South Jackson Street Band.
Our band is playing in Bell Buckle at
Buckle.
the banquet hall for Valentine's night.
Very good.
You're coming.
I'm gonna be there. Across the
Alright.
street at the Whiskey Trail
They're having
on
a-
Valentine's night. There's I think it's the tourism department in Tennessee is having a march across the state contest of Tennessee songwriters.
No kidding.
And the stop in Tullahoma or in this area is going to be at the Whiskey Trail. And that's going to be the same night. I was asked to judge the contest over there, and I told him, I had to go to Bell Buckle with my sister here and do a little dance down there with my baby on Valentine's. Old hips getting where it's feeling pretty good.
So you think you'll be able to dance on Valentine's?
I'll be able to at least take
He's
2 or 3
so much better
steps.
today, I can tell, than last week.
Yeah.
2 or 3 steps
Yeah.
at least.
Right.
But no, there's a lot going on. Monday night, a week from last night, at Daddy Billy's, the Purple Olympics, second annual Purple Olympics, which is for Alzheimer's Tennessee, is having a trivia night down there on Monday night to raise money for. Well,
And where's it going to be?
At Daddy Billy's.
At Daddy Billy's. Okay.
You can go in at 5:30, and the games start at 7, and they have some special things lined up down there. But it's $10 a player, and you up to 6 people on a team. And then there are cash prizes. First place wins $60, second place $40, and third place $20.
That's nice.
And then Spinelli's is putting a deal together for one of those big old huge slices of pizza and a drink for $5.
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
going to be
nice.
a fun evening, and the thing about the Purple Olympics is it's not just physical, it's mental as well.
Yeah.
And that's why we've incorporated a trivia night to be involved with that. So that's going to be Monday night.
That'll be fun.
So
Yeah,
it'll be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everything's going on. A lot of stuff
Something
going
happening all
on.
over this town.
Cat Murray had a great show this past weekend.
Were you able to go?
No, I couldn't. But it was Fran ran the lights down there, and she said it was a good
Have a
show.
good
It was for
turnout.
CASA,
I know they raised
and they
some
did
funds.
a good job there. And then I think next week on this show, Becky Buller's going to be on to
Right.
promote her concert or her show
South
at South
Jackson.
Jackson Civic Center. Which, if you have not seen a Grammy and IBMA award winner Becky Buller from Manchester perform, do yourself a favor. Go to South Jackson Civic Center and watch that lady perform with one of the best bluegrass bands that exist
They're
right now.
fabulous. We're
First
so,
woman to ever win Instrumentalist of the Year
right.
in bluegrass.
We're so lucky that she moved to Manchester because
Does a lot of
the
work
day is
around
gonna
here.
come when we can't afford her.
No, she's a great
really on her
gal.
way. She's a wonderful person, and she does
She
a lot
is.
of local stuff.
Yeah, sure
we
does.
appreciate.
As we do. We talk about a whole lot of local stuff, don't we, Pat? We got Pat Welch on the audience today. He's going to be up on stage in a little bit. We need to, whenever we get him up here, we need to start going John and Pat, John and Pat. We need John and Pat to make a return
And we've
to
got
our
Cheryl-
network.
We've got
Yes, we
Cheryl
do,
Petty
actually.
on the show today.
Yeah. So,
And we've got Ron Hackett on the show today from Fayetteville. There's just
good.
a lot of stuff
Stuff's going
yeah.
on. So what we're
Stay
going to do
tuned.
right here is take a
Yeah.
quick commercial break and be back with the rest of today's show.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Ford of Winchester. Check out the 2018 Ford F-150 as low as $34,739. That's Russell Barnett Ford on 41A in Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. And remember, my question is, why buy anywhere else?
You made the time and the sacrifice to broaden their horizons, to see their smiles, but mostly to make lifelong memories. We think it's time to do it again, just the two of you. Don't let illness or injury slow you down. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and you heard us talking about it in the opening here, but we're pleased to have with us today Pat Welch of the John and Pat Show, and I think they may be taking this little hiatus right now. The show is not. The show is still running because there's a number of episodes already in the can.
Reruns are coming in, but we're taking a little sabbatical.
Right, and we do want to get them back because we've had so many positive comments about that thing. Some good stuff on that show. Some good stuff. However, that's not his full-time gig. He's involved in some other stuff, fortunately, because you can't make a living doing that in Tullahoma. But anyway, you do have something very exciting coming up, don't you, Pat? Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm just been recently put on the Tullahoma Sports Council, and the Sports Council is in charge of the new Sports Hall of Fame, of which the first class was inducted last February. And we're getting ready on February the 22nd to have the second induction ceremony. And that starts at 5:30 the social, and then the dinner starts at 6:30, immediately followed by the induction of the. We have 7 new inductees.
Right. And can you divulge at this stage of the game who these inductees are? Yeah. Okay. Because some of them are big names, or at least I remember.
All of them have got some significance. That's for sure. The first is the 1978 golf team, the THS golf team that had Scott Copeland, the McCord twins, James and John, and Clay Usselton.
Right.
And they, I believe, were the second state championship team after the 74 baseball team that Coach Mathis had that was inducted last year.
And what a group that is.
Oh.
I mean, these are legendary golfers.
They are.
And
still really good players.
Yeah, they are. All of them still play, don't they?
Yeah. And they, let's see, Clay was a little bit younger, and he played on another state championship team, but Scott played on 3.
Yeah.
Tullahoma won state championship 3 out of 4 years at one segment, and most of that was before the privates were split off from the publics. They were beating Baylor and McCauley and MUS and Memphis, and they really, really had a strong team.
And was Coach Phelps the coach?
Coach Phelps was the coach.
Because I know when I was in high school, I think that's when they first started the golf team. He was the coach. And,
when did you graduate, Jimmy?
64.
All right. 65 was the first athlete from Tullahoma that was recognized in an individual championship. Les Gardner was a runner-up.
I remember Les Gardner.
65.
Yeah.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right.
Was Coach Phelps a good golfer, or did you?
Not really.
I never knew him.
He was a good organizer, and he was a good chaperone. Those boys were awful good players, and practiced. He didn't have to do much of a practice routine because they were wanting to practice anyway.
Oh yeah. I mean, those guys that you just named off there, they lived on the golf course back then.
Right. They were really, really, really good players, and still are good players.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Ace, which is Scott's nickname, he played on 3 state championship teams. He was a member of all 3 teams.
No kidding.
Right. I think he was on the 78 team that we were inducting was just a freshman.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, really is.
And who else we got?
Next would be Rob Norman.
Who
was he's a great baseball player at Mississippi State. I believe he was on an SEC championship team. Was a member of the all-region NCAA team at one point. Great baseball player. A lot of people don't remember that he was a great football player.
He was a linebacker, wasn't he?
He's all-state linebacker. And if he had told football recruiters that he was not going to play football, that he wanted to play baseball, he would have been an SEC prospect, and still was up to the very end before they finally convinced him that he was going to play baseball.
I believe he told me one time that he could have gotten a scholarship to UT.
I think Mike's probably a a stretch, he would have.
Yeah, exactly. And it's unbelievable, the talented guy.
Yeah.
You know, he was a pitcher, I believe, at one point in high school, was he not?
He's involved in some kind of accident at Mississippi, at Starkville, and ended up having to just play first base.
Right.
But I say just play first base. He was a great first baseman.
Right.
And he was a great hitter.
You know, I know you've watched a lot of sports through the years. I always thought that he was a guy that had the potential to play professionally if he had wanted to, either football or baseball.
He was a really good athlete, and he's a great man,
right.
too. Monica Blake is another inductee. Mm-hmm. She graduated in 2000, I believe, and was a really good basketball player and played at Lipscomb, but she's probably going in for the track notoriety. She was a two-time discus champion, and had mentioned before that I think her senior years there's a lot of pressure coming back as the defending champion,
right.
and I know she wasn't leading. In fact, she may not have been but third or so, and you have 3 throws, and on her third throw she won.
Really?
So, she's a neat story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Brian Morris, who's a THS baseball coach presently, was a great pitcher at the high school, then went to Motlow, was a great pitcher there, and then was drafted, and so had several stops in the. And he may still have been playing if he hadn't had so much back and health problems.
Right, and he lives around here now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
As you said, is a high school baseball coach.
Right.
How cool is that, folks? I mean,
Neat.
Former major leaguer, and you know, just. I've interviewed him a couple of times, and I always admired his guts because, you know, he got offered to play in the major leagues or drafted not in the first round, I believe.
Right.
Or maybe it was first round.
He felt if he improved a little bit, the financial aspects of it would be greater.
Yeah, and what a move that was,
right.
Because, you know, he went to Motlow and played for a year,
right.
and then did get drafted.
Right.
I think in the
much
first round.
higher.
Much higher,
right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Next, Joel Farrell.
Joel Farrell.
He would have come to work at the base, late 50s, early 60s, and raised 3 great children here. One of them, or 2 of them are doctors, and one of them has since passed away, Craig Farrell. But Joel wanted, he had a desire with about 3 or 4 other families. The Matts, the Pucketts were 2 of them, and I know when there's mentioned other families, we leave somebody else out. But there was 4 or 5 families that wanted to have their kids in a swim program, and they started a swim team that became very, very competitive, not just in our state, but in the South.
Right.
And he rose in the AAU ranks from just a starter and helper, getting one small town swim team started. He became the national AAU president.
Right.
And he was served, I believe, on 2 or 3 sub-Olympic committees, and his son was the physician for 2 Olympic teams.
Right.
So he's really a neat story too that not a whole lot of people remember.
Right.
They remember his name was on the pool for a while, but they don't know why.
Right. Joel Farrell Memorial Pool or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. At D.W. Wilson, where our induction will be
Right.
on the 22nd.
And the Pucketts were pretty. You mentioned them.
Miss Puckett was high in the national office, and she stayed really busy all the time on it. She was very involved with the Junior Olympics, and Joel was too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Karen Romberg, I believe she would have been a golfer at THS in the early 80s, and she was either runner-up or a champion 4 years in a row. She was runner-up twice and champion twice.
Right.
And she had a great career at Indiana.
Right.
And
she was a household name.
She really was.
In high school, yeah.
Really was. And last but not least was Dwan Brazelton.
Yeah.
Who was a great pitcher at the high school and at MTSU, and then he pitched for the Yankees.
Right.
Yeah. He's very, very great background. In fact, it's time to get him inducted because he's already in the Middle Tennessee State University Hall of Fame.
No kidding. I'd say it is time to move on. And do I remember correctly? DeJuan was like the 3rd player in the first round.
I believe that's correct. He had a tremendous college career.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ironic Pat, that he's already in the MTSU Hall of Fame, and he made it in Tullahoma.
That's how illustrious our town is, Jimmy.
You know, looking at these baseball players, and when they were in high school, they were just absolutely dominating.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, even the Sheffields, they were just dominating in high school.
Yeah.
I was asking Brian Morris one day, I said, what was the biggest change from when you went from high school to eventually the pros? And he said, well, in high school, I could pretty much strike out anybody except maybe the best team on the player or best player on the other team. When you get to the pros, they're all the best player. Yeah. They were all the best guy on their team all the way through their career. So it's totally
and he's talking about probably being able to strike out. 95% of a high school lineup, where all he's trying to do is get a ground ball out of the pros.
Amazing. You know, of course, I wasn't ever good enough to do that. Probably you weren't either.
No, I was not.
But you're right.
Yeah.
You know, you're over there.
Most of my football claim to fame, Jimmy, got better after the gym burned and all the films were lost.
Right, exactly.
I immediately became better the next day.
Yeah, it's like most stories that we tell of olden times and things we've been through. You get bigger and better every time you tell them. This is coming up again. Tell them when it's coming up and what they got to do to get
February
tickets.
the 22nd. They can get tickets at, let's cheat a little bit and use the poster, Sports Plus, Smart Bank, and Nature's Elite. It's the induction ceremony is sponsored by L&H Distributing, and we'll have they're going to also provide a cash beer bar. And we're very fortunate to have their sponsorship. And remember, the council was set up with an endowment by the Stewart family, James and Mary Louise Stewart, that were kind enough in their estate to have a nice sum of money that started the Sports Council.
Right, absolutely. And I understand that you're moving into the council as head of the council.
That's what rumor has it.
Yeah,
I'm not head of the council.
Right.
I'm a member of the council.
I'm a member of the council.
Right. Jim Bratcher's the head of it.
It seems to me that that's something that's just right down your alley, right there. Being involved.
I don't know how much I'll contribute, but I will enjoy it.
Right, right. Yeah. Were you an athlete in high school?
Played football.
Played football.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And again, I was a lot better than after the fire.
Well, these days you need to weigh about 220 pounds to play any position. I can remember when I first became a big UT fan, their line averaged about 220 pounds, and the quarterback at that time was Dewey Warren, and he was bigger than the lineman. It's changed a lot. This is going to be a great event, folks, and you need to. Do you know how much tickets are to this event?
They're $50.
$50 a person,
and there's not many left.
There's
so
not many left.
You need to get to those three places: Sports. Right. Let's see, Sports Plus, Smart Bank, and Nature's Elite.
All right. And that's going to be a great event to honor some really, really great Tullahoma
Jimmy,
athletes.
maybe I need to point out, too, that if you were there last year, you saw that the set, they bring in an outside contractor, and you don't know you're in Tullahoma. They really do a really nice job.
I meant to say that, this is really a first-class event because they convert the gym, I think it is, at D.W. Wilson into the venue for
you
this.
Think you're in Hollywood. It's really, really a nice.
Absolutely. Food was good, too. Right. I had a lot of people tell me how great the food was.
And there's one other person, Cheryl Twitty, we need to recognize. She will not come on set, but she is the backbone of this event. She has worked tirelessly. And last year, one of the inductees was Wallace Wade. And which Wade Field behind East was named for. And I gave her, she wanted some pictures, so I gave her a book that was written by a Duke professor. Yeah. And she just didn't use the pictures or read the Tullahoma chapter. She read the whole book. Yeah. And she treats each inductee the same way. She's really, really the backbone of this event.
Absolutely. Well, that's good to hear that because this is one of the premier events that you're going to see in Tullahoma during the course of the year, and what an honor for these folks, and there are many, many more, and we just hope that continues for a long time.
Right.
Pat, thank you
Thanks
so much.
for having us today, Jimmy.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Always.
Folks, we'll be right back in just a moment.
Smoking tobacco accounts for 3 of every 10 fire deaths in the United States.
Tullahoma Fire Department needs you en route to a structure structure fire, 202 Main Street. Heavy smoke showing. Neighbors advise child trapped inside.
Lighters, matches, and associated smoking paraphernalia are the leading cause of preschooler fire deaths. We as firefighters know that most structure fires can be prevented.
I've got one! Command, this is primary search. We have a victim. Need EMS to meet us at the front door.
Please help us to give you a fighting chance. This can be prevented. Contact the Tullahoma Fire Department for a free home safety inspection.
What's a Tennessee vacation? It starts off like any road trip, and then, boom, adventure and thrills everywhere you look, which happens to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Music here, history there, and all kinds of green in between. Come relax and unwind, or bring the crowd for some stargazing, or stargazing. Whatever you do, come hungry and expect an awesome soundtrack. It's all right here in Tennessee. We're playing your song. For a free vacation guide, visit tnvacation.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Hey gang, good morning to everybody. Welcome to the Millennium Moment. I don't know how long that is, but at least we're going to get a part of it, a moment or two. Our thought for today is a famous downtown landmark, the Davidson Park. Now, Tullahoma, as we mentioned a few weeks ago, Tullahoma's a railroad town. And the 100 block of North Atlantic was the location of the freight depot and the passenger depot right in front of First National Bank. And the motorized traffic became so heavy that when the train stopped to load and unload, they blocked Lincoln Street and blocked Grundy Street. So the railroad authorities jacked up the freight depot, laid track under it, and moved it 2 blocks south on South Atlantic Street, and they had plenty of room there to load and unload without blocking any streets. And in the meantime, a fellow by the name of Davidson, W.L. Davidson, was mayor of Tullahoma, and he turned that lot where the freight depot had been into a beautiful park. It was between the first and second blocks of North Atlantic Street on the west side. And there were beautiful mulberry trees and grass and bird baths and benches, and people came there to meet and to have lunch, and the police raised and lowered the city flag every day, and it was just a wonderful place for people to meet, and all the political candidates would come and pitch their program for public office. And the picture that's shown here is from the middle of the park, and it shows old Atlantic Street with the Strand Theater in the background, H.G. Hill's grocery store, Kroger's first store that was located where the shoe store is right now. So we had plenty of everything right downtown for everybody, including the park. And not being a county seat, Tullahoma didn't have the usual courthouse square for those people that wanted to have some rest and recreation there. So a warm spot for those people to gather was in front of the brick wall there at Taylor's Pharmacy, which is now the veranda. And these are some of our leading citizens that made some of the great decisions of the world in religion and economics and politics. And if any of this group that normally would be in Davison Park, they chose this spot to be, and if any of them mentioned work or labor, they were thrown out of the group. And here's some high school kids that we had our pep rallies there in the park prior to a ball game, and just had a wonderful time in the park. I remember photographing Albert Gore Sr.'s speeches when he was running for Congress in 1939, and little Al and his sister were playing out in front of the platform. And the highlight of Davison Park was our good buddy Bill, the groundhog. On and in Davison Park were some canna plants, and the groundhogs had a home there, and the home for groundhogs is called a hutch. And without any problems at all, right on schedule, Bill would come out every February the 2nd, and across the street from the park was the Candy Kitchen, a soda fountain place that provided a place for the teenagers to gather, and they made real good candy there and had this traditional soda fountain. And somebody went over and brought Bill, the groundhog, a ice cream cone. And he just enjoyed it so much and looked for it every year. And Mr. Polk Ross, the editor of the Tullahoma Guardian, made this picture and did a story on Bill every year. And they got to be such good friends. I don't know how they communicated with each other, but Bill said he liked vanilla better than any other flavor. And he was just enjoying that so much. I don't know whether he had any brothers or sisters or not, but he was there every time, and right there in the middle of Davison Park. And we maybe someday can have a park back in that area somewhere, because it's really nice. And I thank you for watching. This is not the end of the story, because we've got a lot more to come in the Millennium Minute. Thank you.
Here at Manchester Funeral Home, we know the importance of living and working in our local community, because it's those families who we serve during their time of need honorably. We believe in supporting local business and offer only 100% Batesville caskets, the best in the industry and a driver of our local economy. If you want straightforward and fair pricing while working with the people you know, choose Manchester Funeral Home, serving your community since 1932. And pre-planning and pre-funding can be the best gift you ever leave your loved ones. Call us to pre-arrange. Manchester Funeral Home. Our family caring for your family since 1932.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
What brings you back to Tullahoma?
Well, we were doing a little advance work for a show that's coming up here on Valentine's Day.
Right.
We're going to be. I'm going to be performing with the South Jackson Street Band at the Bell Buckle Banquet Hall.
And is that not the best place in the world to
play?
play?
It is fantastic. It's a wonderful venue, wonderful food. It's a buffet environment.
The food buffet is unlimited.
Buffet unlimited.
Absolutely.
Especially if you like a sugar high. I really enjoyed the dessert bar last year. That was absolutely wonderful. So
I don't know if you've never been to the banquet hall in Bell Buckle. Honestly, I can give it the highest accolades because I've never seen so much food. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful event, and dancers love it, and people that love to eat love it, and people that like to just listen to good music love it. And I want to tell you a little bit about Ron Hackett. He's been with our band for 3 years now, and not only is he a genius with a computer and websites and all that kind of stuff, he plays this great guitar, and I never get tired of listening to it. Have you enjoyed being a part of the band, or do you prefer solo work?
I just enjoy playing guitar.
You just want to play, right?
I started playing guitar when I was 11 years old. I've been playing for 50 years now. I'll do the math for you. I'm 29 and holding.
Me too.
So yeah.
We all are.
But I just enjoy playing. I enjoy solo work. I do quite a bit of work with trios. I've got an ensemble in Nashville that I play with, and of course the big band. It's wonderful getting out and playing with. We've got with the big band. We're going to have 5 saxophones at the show, 4 trombones, and 4 trumpets. Plus the rhythm section, which includes, of course, me, the drums, a bass player, and a piano player. So 19 players on the band. wonderful music for dancing or listening, whichever you prefer to do.
It's a great night out to take your Valentine and just enjoy an evening out.
Yeah, only $35 a piece. You know,
I know.
It's really hard to find a meal like this and entertainment, for that kind of price.
We're excited to have this opportunity to go back for several years now to the Valentine dance. See, we've done it on Saturday night for many years, but this time, since Valentine's Day is Friday, it's going to be Friday night. And if you want all the information, go to their website, which would be either on Facebook or on the web, Bell Buckle Banquet Hall, and there's a little poster. The phone number to call for tickets, 389-0223. If you want to bring your own bottle, you may, and it's just a fun night, so please show up. You got another song for us?
Oh, certainly. I'd like to mention the bring your own bottle. Bring your own bottle of wine. There's no corkage fee.
Oh, right.
So that's kind of a nice feature too. So the $35 a piece, I believe, plus sales tax. That's all you pay for a wonderful evening of food and musical entertainment.
So bring all the people you love.
So yeah, bring the folks you love. This is an old French tune originally. I don't remember the French title, but then it came to America, and Johnny Mercer put the words to it. But it's Autumn Leaves.
Oh, I love that. Somewhere Over the Rainbow and Autumn Leaves take me all the way back to the early days when I was singing with either a band or a small combo or something. I've always loved those two songs, and I love the way that you rearranged them to suit yourself. They're very rhythmical, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, and the fact that you make all that happen at the same time, that amazes me.
Yeah, it's a bit of an art combining the the rhythm and the chords and trying to get the melody, all of that worked in at the same time. But that's the challenge I love about the guitar. It's a wonderful instrument. It's one of the few instruments that can accompany itself. Of course, the piano, the guitar, the harp, and well, the banjo. But we'll give them a little special leeway there. So it's not many instruments that can actually accompany themselves.
I don't guess you had that guitar when you were 11.
No, this is about 10 years old.
It's a beautiful guitar.
Well, in fact, Gibson gave it to me.
You're kidding. Well, no,
Well,
because they loved you and you were playing their music, right?
No,
playing their
it's because
guitar.
I had another Gibson guitar that failed. In 2010, I got up one morning, and it was actually New Year's morning. I was going to put new strings on the guitar, and there was a great big ugly crack at the top of the guitar.
Oh, wow. And that
So
was
I
a
got in touch
Gibson.
with Gibson, and they said, well, send it back for an evaluation. It took them forever. About 6 weeks later, they finally decided, well, it was a manufacturer's defect. We're going to give you a new guitar.
Weren't
Oh,
you lucky?
fantastic. You know,
Yeah,
that's
that
wonderful.
was great.
Oh, by the way, we don't make your model guitar anymore. How about this 137?
And that's
My guitar was worth about $1,000. This is a $3,000 guitar.
I know it's beautiful.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can
I'll
tell.
take it.
I'll take it, absolutely.
So I love to give Gibson credit for standing behind their product like
I know,
that and,
I know.
and helping
I mean,
me out.
all my life I've heard about Gibson, even when I didn't even know it was important to know about Gibson. I knew about Gibson guitars because they're always perfect tune and all that kind of stuff. You can depend on it.
Oh, I love a Gibson guitar, and I love the Gibson
Do you
neck.
have a favorite song in all the world that you love to play?
I've got an old tune that my instructor taught me many years ago, and it's one of those tunes that when you take music theory, it's one of the first that you analyze. It's an old Jerome Kern tune, All the Things You Are.
Okay, before you play it, don't forget, February 14th in Bell Buckle, the Bell Buckle Banquet Hall, and if you want to get tickets, just call and make reservations. Go to their website. Okay, let's hear it.
Clayton has been Tullahoma's family shoe store for over 100 years with a reputation for fashion and personal service. And the tradition continues today. Stop by Clayton and see our large selection of fine shoes.
We're gonna fit your style. We're gonna make you smile. Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna fit your style.
Ah, the glory days. Running to daylight on the gridiron and chasing a ball with a mind of its own. Cheering the team to victory and marching to the beat of your own drum. Memories that last a lifetime. But sometimes we're reminded of our glory days in ways we'd rather forget. Get back in the game. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live and play well.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
talking history about this and that. It's Conversations with John and Pat, with John and Pat, with John and Pat.
Hello everyone, John Rickman here.
And this is Pat Welch, and John, we're here under probationary status from after segment 88. We're now 89, and we have cleared management to continue on. Hopefully we'll get the green light from here to 100.
We're not going to mention snakes for a while.
No, I hope not.
Back in the 50s, late 50s, I guess, early 60s, but I believe it was late 50s, Robert Mitchum had a movie called Thunder Road. He was a young man who drove a load of whiskey to the place he was carrying it for his daddy. His daddy made the whiskey, and he was the driver in a souped-up car. And I think probably a lot of kids back that time had souped-up cars and had it weighted down in the back, just like Robert Mitchum might have had back that time. But,
where was the location supposed to have been?
North Carolina and East Tennessee. The song.
Okay.
What is amazing to me, Robert Mitchum wrote this song. Now I might not sing it just right because there's a lot of words, goes pretty quick, but I'll try my best. And
well, let me interject something that might be of a little bit of interest. Do you know which county in the United States killed more federal agents during Prohibition than any county?
Franklin County, Virginia.
Bingo. Obviously, I've told you that before.
No, you didn't tell me. I just know.
Okay. Well, then you're a man of great higher learning.
I watched the movie Lawless. Rough movie, but it was in Franklin County. More whiskey was made illegally.
It was incredible. I have been to Franklin County, Virginia.
Okay.
And it is in the very, very rural, and there's more gravel roads by far than there are paved roads.
Yeah.
And there are hairpin turns and everywhere. It'd be a great place for somebody to hide his steel. Do you know the county seat of Franklin County, Virginia?
No.
Rocky Mount.
Oh, North Carolina?
Rocky Mount, Virginia.
Oh,
it's the county seat.
Wrong state. My wife's father was an alcoholic. He learned to be an alcoholic drinking from his daddy's steel in Livingston, Tennessee. From Livingston. And he liked the taste of alcohol, and his daddy made the whiskey, and he became an alcoholic and broke up that marriage. My wife's mother and father.
Bless his heart.
Yeah, but this little song about Thunder Road. Let me tell the story. I can tell it all about the mountain boy who sold red illegal alcohol. His daddy made the whiskey, the son he ran the load, and when his engine roared, they called the highway Thunder Road. And there was thunder, thunder, oh, the Thunder Road. Thunder was his engine, and white lightning was his load. And there was moonshine, moonshine quenched the devil's thirst. The law, they swore they'd get him, but the devil got him first. In the month of April 1954, the federal man sent word, you'd better make your run no more. They sent 300 agents covering up the state. Whichever road he took, they'd get him sure as fate. Son, his daddy told him, make this run your last. Your tank is filled with 100 proof. You're all tuned up and gassed. Now don't take any chances. If you can't get through, I'd rather have you back again than all that Mountain Dew. And there was thunder, thunder, oh, the Thunder Road. Thunder was his engine, and white lightning was his load. And there was moonshine, moonshine quenched the devil's thirst. The law, they swore they'd get him, but the devil got him first. Rolling out of Asheville, revving up his mill, he shot the gap at Cumberland and screamed down Maynard Hill. G-men on his taillights, roadblocks up ahead. The mountain boy took roads that even angels fear to tread. Then outside of Knoxville, out on Kingston Pike, just outside of Bearden, he made his final strike. He left the road at 90, that's all there is to say. The devil got the whiskey and the mountain boy the day. And there was thunder, thunder, oh, the Thunder Road. Thunder was his engine and white lightning was his load. And there was moonshine, moonshine to quench last. The law, they swore they'd get him, but the devil got him first.
That was an absolute classic, John. And
Robert Mitchum would be proud, wouldn't he?
Recent employment and my travels in East Tennessee, I've been in several of those spots, Maynardville, Kingston Pike.
Yeah.
I can promise you one thing, though, there's a vast difference between Maynardville and Kingston Pike in Knoxville today. One of them is a center of retail, and the other is extremely rural.
Well, that song took a little longer than some others, so we better get right to the subject matter.
Any segue today, John?
That was not a good segue because this man, he was good as gold. He was a Tullahoma native. There's nothing about what we sang about that even compares, you might say. We're going to talk today about Bob Couch. Everybody loved Bob. And he has a program on P-Head Productions, kind of like what we do.
Well, let's set the record straight on that too, John. A lot of people think we came to be the new wave of Bob Couch and so forth. I can't do that one because there's only one Bob Couch, and we've got our own show. And please don't compare us, because if you do, me and you are going to be second fiddle.
And it takes two of us.
That's right.
And Bob could sit there by himself.
Two can't do the job of one.
But Bob, wonderful fella. Show that picture. In Bob's declining years, I was a Rotary program chairman, and we had that man that looks like Abraham Lincoln at our Rotary that day. And Bob was a Rotary member, always a Rotary member, and he was in bad health, and he was homebound at this point.
He would have had close to 50 years perfect attendance too, John.
Yes.
Anytime he was sick or something missed, he'd make it up in another town.
Dr. Jerry Kennedy next to me, and between Dennis Boggs is the fellow who portrays Lincoln. Speaks just like
he looks so close to Lincoln there that it almost looks like he's photoshopped in. But that's him.
My sister-in-law was a principal at a school over in Lewisburg, and she had him come and speak to her students, and then he went all over Lewisburg talking about Lincoln and his and he'll give the Lincoln like the Gettysburg Address and things like that. Just and there's Dot on the left over there, and we just. That was a great day. That was a day that I'll always remember sitting there with Bob. Now, notice that clothespin on Bob's on robe, that's holding the robe together.
Which he normally wore it on his tie at work at Couches. And
it was notes that he would.
He'd have
keep
4 or 5
himself.
Stacked in there about call Kodak or call Miss Chrisman, or it was incredible.
In Rotary one day, I had him sign a clothespin. And I auctioned it there at Rotary, and I don't think it bought but maybe $5 or $10. I can't remember. I was sort of disappointed in that.
Yeah, that would have done a whole lot of the polio vaccines in the Third World.
But anyway, Bob had that clothespin on, and there was. I'll let you read that, Pat. And his mother, Belle.
Yeah, this is interesting, which we never did. We just thought he just wore it for a joke, but his mother sent him to school with a clothespin on, and it was supposed to remind him of 3 things. Now,
what 3 things could it be?
This is a young man in elementary school whose mother has sent him to school with the 3 things he needs to always remember, reminded by a clothespin. Number 1. Don't forget to blow your nose. Number 2, pull your socks up. Number 3, be nice to your teacher. Now, that would be 3 good things to remember for today.
Now, I want to go to that next picture, Philip. If you do those 3 things, they'll name a highway after you.
Or at least you'd be on the list as a possibility.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah. I took that picture. I got a little cheap camera, but it came out pretty good. But that's Bob Couch Highway. That's down Jackson, looking up North Jackson. And Bob was such a wonderful person. And thank you, Philip, for that picture.
He was so open and so receptive to new people and to guests. And he sold Tullahoma, whether he was in Tullahoma or whether he was in Anchorage or whether he was in Singapore. He loved Tullahoma.
And I can remember being at Couches one time, and there were 2 or 3 people in there, and somebody had just moved in. Now, remember, Bob would have really been busy at Couches during the expansion of AEDC and tremendous growth in Tullahoma, and there was some question about, you know, I've been in Tullahoma so many years, am I a Tullahoman or am I a native, you know, and they were all having a discussion about how long you had to live here, what you had to do, and that kind of thing, and before somebody would consider you native. And he piped up real quick. He said, listen, as soon as you can learn to spell Tullahoma and pronounce it, you're a native. So he, you know, where some people, if you haven't been here 25 years, or if that's a barrier somebody put up, you're not really a Tullahoman. Bob took you just as soon as you came into town, and well, that's the life he lived.
He was well recognized too at MTSU.
Oh yeah,
Middle Tennessee
he was
State.
A really active alumnus.
They walked him out on the football field one time, recognized him for some particular facet of. He won the Nunley Award, and we know Joe Nunley. We've talked about him before.
Right, and his
Nunley Award.
Father had been the principal at Forest and Chapel Hill, and then he was at a really active career at MTSU himself.
Bob's a wonderful guy, and Pat, we could go on and on about Bob Couch, and we love the man, and love Dot and Candy and Fran, and they're great.
Well, what are you ready to close out? Because I've got one tidbit to offer that not many people knew, but back in the 40s and 50s, and he did a little bit in the early 60s, because I saw it one time. He did a comedy act off a diving board with a guy named Gene Boaz, and Bob did a lot of it later on by himself, but he was a really good acrobat, and they'd be on these really high dives on the, somebody told me, Lake Tullahoma and Avoca. And he had a real old-style swimsuit down about his ankles and stripes on it, and covered all, you know, his arms and so forth.
Trying to be modest.
Oh yeah, he'd go up and do all kinds of flips and stuff, and then do belly busters where you think, golly, how can a man survive from that? But he was really a talented, interesting, and a great church person at First Christian, and just a welcoming, accepting person. He was really a neat guy.
He made Tullahoma great.
Oh, he was a great Tullahoma person.
Folks, that's it. We got to quit talking about Bob. We just go on and on about Bob.
And that was segment 89. And we hope, since we've done this segment on management's relative, that we won't have to go through probationary status. But one time, we hope we're at number 90 on our own, because we got more stories to tell. Thank you all.
Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat, with John and Pat, with John and Pat. Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the paint. Uh-oh. I just knocked a tree over. This is the paint doctor. I got the color wheel. Now, you know what a color wheel is? It is the wheel at the Paint Works where you pick all your colors to paint your room. It could be a multicolored beard. It could be a underarm fan. You never can tell. One thing we do know is that it's time to paint. You know, you can make your wife very happy if you go to your house and paint some rooms, or you paint the outside of the house, the inside of the house. It makes them feel very good because you work hard for them, and they like that. All women like to see their man sweat, you know? They do. Honeydew is what they do. And you get to do it too. So you go to the Paint Works at 1960 North Washington Street, and you see David Heikkinen over there, and he's the real paint doctor. He fix you up with color. It's so nice when the color is right. Go to Paint Works today. Martin Senor. See? Martin Senor. Right there. Martin Senor at the Paint Works. Bye, and we see you next time. I'm burning up.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm glad to be here today with a good friend of mine. Yeah, we have a whole lot of reasons in our small town and small towns all across the country for celebration. And every now and then there's an anniversary comes along of this or that or the other, and we have a celebration that we're going to share right now with my friend Miss Patsy Riley, and it is involving the Wesley Heights Methodist Church. And what are you celebrating out there?
Well, I happen to be chosen to be the evangelistic chairperson.
Mm-hmm.
When I got this job, I really didn't know we were getting ready to celebrate a 60th anniversary of the church, or I would have said no. I'm a better...
No, you wouldn't.
I would have. I'm a better follower than I am leader, and I really realized this. But there is a wonderful committee that I was divinely guided to choose. Our minister, of course, Chevy Shields, and we adore her.
Now let's get that, because I messed that up. Chevy
Shields.
Shields, and not many people are named Chevy.
I know.
But we had her on the show a couple of months ago, and what a crackerjack she is.
She is for sure. She and Betsy and David White and Jennifer Dameron, and they are the brains of the group, but we are a team. We work together, and we have some nice things planned. You would not believe that we have stacks of pictures and written things about the church from the time it started in the beginning, before they even got to the building we're in now.
Right.
We are now at I think I didn't find my page.
Well, that's all right. You're out on East Lincoln.
Yes, we are.
Almost out to where you used to have to turn off to go to the drive-in.
That's right.
For you old folks that remember when the drive-in was out where Pepsi-Cola is now. But it's on the left-hand side of the road, headed out the Old Manchester Highway. And I can't remember exactly I
think it's 2101.
But it's on a little hilltop, and it's a beautiful building, and a lot of great things go on there. What about Judy? What about my friend Judy?
Judy Carter.
Judy Carter, spike-headed Judy.
Yes.
I love
She's
that
doing
girl.
well.
She sends me a lot of information.
Yes,
about your
on
church
top of
that we post about different stuff that's going on.
Well, we always appreciate it too.
Well, we're more than happy to, and you've got one of your angels right over there. That
I know.
Miss Peggy Burton is been involved with that church for a long time as well.
Yes, she has, and also her sister, Joan.
Yeah.
Well,
So what all are we going to do to celebrate?
Well, Saturday evening at 5 o'clock on the 15th. Oh, the anniversary is actually the 14th of February. But we are celebrating starting our celebration with a big potluck supper at 5.
Okay.
And then we'll be just remembering old times, and people that have been in the church a long time will write notes if they choose to, and we have 2 decorated bulletin boards that we can tack them up on.
Right.
And
share the
the
history.
scrapbooks will be available to be
That's wonderful.
looked at, and you probably would want to take a few of them home with you if you could carry them. But they're about this thick.
Yeah.
But we're really excited about that. And one of our past ministers, John Williams, who was there with the congregation from 1980 through 1983, and he is going to come and preach Sunday morning.
Oh, that's great.
And he hopes to come on Saturday evening for the potluck too, because he really, John came to us at a time when he probably was in some pain. He needed a loving, nurturing church, and that is what Wesley Heights is.
Right.
And he loved us back, and we healed each other.
Isn't that wonderful?
It surely is, and he is just an amazing minister and man. He's not a preacher anymore unless he gets called for special occasions, and he is tickled to be coming to deliver.
Isn't that great? That's really good.
Yes, it is.
And, you know, people need to realize, people a lot of times don't realize or forget that leadership is not always perfect. Leadership is not always pain-free. Leadership is a person just like you are who has wants and needs, and they succeed and they have failures in their life. And where a great leader is someone who knows how to allow the people he leads to pick him up as well, or her, because the whole thing is about everybody getting together in the same feeling of respect and love for one another.
I totally agree with that. And we have had so many ministers that have done exactly that for us, and we have nurtured them, as you said, too.
Right. And it's interesting, being a Methodist church, that I think the church sort of makes suggestions from time to time on how long. Your ministers don't stay for 10 or 15 or 20 years like a lot of churches
Well, we
do.
had our the one before John Purdue came to us, stayed 12 and a half years.
That's a long time for a
that
Methodist
was Jim
minister,
Fields,
isn't it?
Yes, and we weren't ready for him to leave, but he needed to retire, and so he did that, and we've had several very interesting folks since, and lovable since Jim, and we adore Chevy. She is our first lady minister, as you said.
Yeah, that's great.
And she is on the ball.
She's wide open.
Yes, she is.
She is a crackerjack if I've ever seen one.
She
I
for
love her.
sure is. She
So
is.
again, this is the 14th is the actual date.
Yes.
But the celebration will be on the 15th. And then there'll be a potluck on the 15th and visiting and scrapbooks and mingling and story. You don't reckon there'll be any stories told,
I
do you?
think there will be. I think
Maybe
there
even
will.
a lie or two. Is it
Maybe
okay if
there
you lie
will.
in church?
Yes, it is.
As long as it's a good lie.
And Sunday after our service, we will have a light lunch.
Okay, well, that's just wonderful.
Pizza, sandwiches, and
Yeah. Every time
fruit
I've
and
gone out there
vegetables
to
and-
eat, the eating's been good.
I was going to say, I bet you were well fed.
Yes, ma'am. We sure were. Patsy, well, thank you so much for being here and allowing us to understand what's going on out there. Thank you for your service. Because, well, sometimes we best serve when we're stretched into doing something we really don't want to do. But when you're called to do it, best thing to do is do it.
That's right. And when you have smart folks that you're working with.
There you go.
They're
There you
leading
go.
me.
There you go. My
Thank
friend,
you.
Patsy Riley. Know
Thank
that
you
you're
so
welcome
much,
anytime,
John. It is so
sweetheart.
good to be with
What
you.
a dear soul.
Thank
We'll be
you.
right back after these messages.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Kia in Tullahoma. Check out the 2019 fully loaded V6 Kia Sorento, up to $6,400 off original MSRP. That's Russell Barnett Kia in Tullahoma, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. And remember, why buy anywhere else?
My wife Jackie has always been the life of the party. But things changed when she couldn't be as active anymore.
They told me I needed a double knee replacement.
It's not as big a deal as it used to be, but she still needed to go to rehab.
I was amazed at how good the therapists were at Life Care. They took really good care of me.
They took excellent care of her. And now she's back doing the things she loves, and that makes everyone happy.
Life Care Center of Tullahoma wants you to get active and live well.
So you've been meaning to do something healthy, commune with nature, get outdoors and meet new people. We have the perfect solution. Come hike with us. You can find a Tennessee Trails Association chapter near you, including Clarksville, Columbia Franklin, Highland Rim, Jackson, Knoxville, Oak Ridge, Memphis, Murfreesboro, Nashville, Plateau at Crossville, and Upper Cumberland. We're on the web at TennesseeTrails.org. It's fun, it's stress-free, and it's good for you. See you on the trails.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, Peggy, we're back, and
another day.
Another
Just
day,
coming,
another
about
day,
to go.
another dime.
Another day, another dime. You're absolutely right. When I've got a dime, I'm so happy.
That's right. That's right. Give me a penny for your thoughts. Penny don't buy much anymore.
Yesterday, I went to buy something at the grocery store, and I thought I had a credit card with me, and I'd left it in a very, very tiny, small purse.
Uh-huh.
Well, I barely had $40, so right now I got $1.
That's about all
My
I
bill was
ever have.
$39.
You know,
Anyway.
there's places you can go now. A lot of places in cities, they don't take cash.
No, I know.
You know, you've got to have a card, or you
have
can't
a
buy.
card,
They
or
don't
you
take
don't-
cash because
you
they don't
don't
want to
get
have to
in.
mess with it. They don't want to have to go to the bank.
That's right.
They don't want to have to worry about somebody stealing it. You know, they just don't mess with
It's
it.
just a day of cards.
Deck of cards, deck of cards.
Deck of cards in your hand.
A lot of people have a deck of cards, and I'm sorry if you do. I've got one, and I went a long time and didn't have any at all. But
what
you know,
kind of cards do you play? Are
no,
you talking about
I'm talking about
cards?
credit cards.
Oh,
Deck of
I
cards.
knew that.
You know, no, but I mean, but I got my first one when we went to take a little trip, and you know, you can't reserve a car.
I know.
You can't reserve a hotel room. You
just
can't.
about
You got to
you
have a
just about
card,
have
and
to
I
have
didn't have a
one.
card,
Oh, wow.
and so I had to go pay cash, send cash for all of that
Yeah.
stuff, and I thought, I guess I better break down like everybody else and get
Well,
a card.
a lot of people get caught with cards and get in debt over their head. You got to be careful.
No, I don't do that.
I pay mine off.
Hey,
every
we're just
month.
about ready to close this
Yeah,
thing down.
I'm glad we came
Don't
today.
forget trivia night, Daddy Billy's this coming Monday night for Alzheimer's Tennessee. Don't forget Peggy's show. That is on
February
the
14th, Valentine's Day in Bell Buckle at the
Bell
banquet hall.
Buckle. And this Friday night is the Chamber Banquet celebration at the Conference Center in Manchester. So always plenty of things to do. We love you. You keep watching, and we'll keep coming. See you next time.
Almighty God, we are grateful for this day. We're grateful because we come together as a community, as brothers and sisters, to keep a dream alive. And we know that sometimes the flames begin to dim. Today we're asking you, oh God, that we might again begin to have the flames to burn brightly, to grow. That we might all live as a people, as a family. That in spite of the differences we have and our backgrounds, where we've come from and whether it's the color of our skin or where we live in town or where we live in this community or our economic situations, that we all march together because we want to be one people. We want to continue the dream Martin Luther King had for a people who walk side by side, that there is equality based on the brotherhood, sisterhood. We ask you, oh God, to come. Be with us today, that we might find a new day dawning, a new vision, a new dream alive. Come, we ask, in Christ's name. Amen. Amen.
Walk with me. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. While our Lord is tedious Be my friend. Be my friend, Lord. Be my friend.